Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop RC Blakes. RC is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Well, hello, family. This is RC Blakes, and I have something very, very special that I want to share with you today. Recently, I sat down with one of our pastors, Pastor Bishop Henry Bolden, who's just written an amazing book. The title of the book is I Have to Quit You. And when I heard the title, I immediately called him and said, "You should have given me that title before you wrote that book." And of course, I laughed. But what an amazing job he's done with the content of this book. And so recently, he and I sat down and I just asked him some questions, and we had a dialogue around his book. And I want to bring you into that conversation today. You know, this is off the schedule, but my prayer is that you will be blessed by it. And prayerfully, you'll find something said that will even encourage you to support his book project. I think it will be a blessing to you. Let's go into the conversation between Henry Bolden and myself.
Bishop Henry Blakes. He's a part of the Blakes family. He's the campus pastor of our New Home Ministries, East New Orleans Church. He works along with me in terms of the Family of Churches Fellowship International. Everything I do, he has his fingerprints on it. And I'm so excited today because we get a chance to talk about your latest book.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
You know, we are a family of authors.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was really excited about this book when you gave me the idea of it, and just the title. I said, I wish you had told me that title before you ran out there with it, because it's an amazing title.
Yeah.
And what is the title of this latest book?
I Have to Break Up With You. Distancing and disconnecting yourself from places, people, and circumstances that impede your progress.
Wow. So now, what are some of what inspired you to write this book, first of all?
I think history, life, my personal life, and my endeavor to divert others from going down certain roads.
Correct.
And experiencing certain roadblocks unnecessarily. And I just felt the mandate to do it. And as I was writing it, I knew God had given me clearance to do it.
Well, you know, as we pastor and as we deal with people, we learn that people carry so much into into the fellowship.
Yeah.
And what you find yourself doing, at least what I've found myself doing, is operating almost from a place of what I call theopsychology. Where you're dealing with people's mindsets from a biblical perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the unique things about our ministry is that we have learned to really minister to the minds of people through the Word of God.
Yeah. It's an intentional mergence of theology, biblical principle and concept, which is all throughout this book and every book, really every presentation, because I think it's our signature. I think it's our family signature now.
It is our family
signature. Our Sunday morning presentations, and in fact in our writings and publications. So
you know what the Bible says. The Bible says what? Be transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind. And you know, as I looked in and started reading this book, I realized that this is a tool to really help people to navigate some of those turbulent emotional waters that they may not have had tools to manage before.
Exactly.
And I love that, you know, and I hear the growth in you spiritually, emotionally, and all of that when you say, out of my own background, from my own stories that I wrote the things that I talk about in this book. What are some of the things that you're suggesting we must break up from?
Well, let me lay the premise, I guess. Breakups are for all of us are devastating events, devastating episodes, whether that's a breakup of intimate relationship, breakup of whatever bonded relationship you had. Breakups on any level are usually a devastating episode. But you live long enough to realize how detrimental it could be if you hold on to certain things and people.
Wow.
And I say to people, it's not so much of what you are connected to as much as it is what you are disciplined enough to disconnect from at this season of your life.
Man, say that again.
It's not enough to just deal with who you are connected to or what you're connected with as much as it is disconnecting from these things that derail your purpose, that sideline your future. And it takes discipline to do that.
I was filming one day, and I just couldn't understand why I was getting this buzz on my live.
Yeah.
And then I I'm just looking around trying to troubleshoot, and I realized that I had a speaker plugged into the same socket as the audio for my board, and I didn't need the speaker. It was unnecessary.
No, yeah.
When I pulled the speaker out of the same plug, when I unplugged the speaker, everything calmed down. To your point about it's not what you're connected or who you're connected to. It's about what you have the discipline to disconnect from.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can be plugged into the right person, but still tapped into the wrong people or the wrong situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're distorting the whole reality.
Well, and sometimes we're connected for belonging instead of disconnecting for becoming.
Whoa, stop right there. And please work on that.
Sometimes we're just connected because we have a void in our lives. So anybody who accepts us, who receives us, will connect to it, even if it's not beneficial, even if it's not going to cause us to flourish or prosper in any area of our life. We will hold on to it, and we'll die slowly in the process.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to whatever extent you're comfortable, people look at you and say, well, you have a beautiful wife, you have beautiful children, you have a beautiful, amazing church, you're an author. What you know about this stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I probably could teach it on a college level.
I mean, I know you could.
Yeah, but it took years, and even speak to when you were talking earlier about really delving into more personal transparency. You were provoking me to do this years ago.
Yeah.
And your statement to me is, I'm not rushing you, but whenever you do it, you're going to see a whole world opened up to you. You're going to see people really become endeared to you because of that transparency. And that's what's happening now. I have no inhibition, no fear, no worry of backlash or somebody looking at you in a devalued state. But it's for ministry. It's all about for the betterment of somebody else.
Well, I think, I honestly think that your ministry has tapped into the heart and the soul and the spirit of people on a much deeper level.
For sure.
Because I've been just watching you just gradually unpack some of that stuff. Well, it's the breakup.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the breakup happening in real time.
Yeah. Because breakups are not about endings. I mean, part of it is about endings, but more specifically, it's about new beginnings. So you have to break through some mental barriers, psychological barriers, emotional barriers, in order that you can grasp the vastness of everything God has before you.
Yeah.
So.
Now, when I first heard the title, of course, my mind went strictly relationships.
Right. Well, you're the guru of that. So,
well, I don't know about no guru, but my mind went strictly relationships. I wish you had given me that title.
Right.
But when I discovered what God had really given you, this is really deeper than just some mere breaking up from some mere relationship.
Well, part of it is breaking up with the relationship you have with yourself. One of the things I deal with, the first chapter deals with breaking up with trust issues.
Wow.
It's awfully difficult to trust others when you don't trust yourself. When you look over your history and the resume of your mistakes and realize that it was because of your judgment or lack thereof that positioned you and postured you in certain places, I can't trust anybody to make decisions for me because I couldn't trust me to make them for me.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily make the best informed decisions, but you have to deal with those trust issues because you'd be amazed at how many people are traumatized right now because of trust issues.
Yeah. Well, I deal with them all the time.
Oh yeah, I do too. And it's amazing. You know, we people are so focused. We come to church, shout, dance, and no, it's not that. It's really tearing through those layers, exposing people to their emotional deficiencies or psychological deficiencies, using the Word of God to heal that and mend those areas where they could really get true healing.
Wow. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever had trust issues?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trust issues are, they are offspring of abandonment or
Correct.
lack of nurturing.
Correct.
Not being a preference, even as relate to your parental upbringing.
Yeah.
When you were supposed to be nurtured, but mostly experienced neglect.
Yeah.
Consequently, you have major trust issues. You're always looking at everybody from the vantage point of what's their angle.
Yeah.
What do they want? What are they trying to get
What are they
from
trying
me?
to get from me?
Yeah. And so you don't trust very easily. And so that's a lot to process and to deal with.
Well, what are some of the other titles you have?
Have to break up with trust issues. Then we have to break up with overthinking.
Now work on that.
Overthinking is challenging because I say to people, the more you overthink, the more you underact. And some people hold their progress up and they think it's legitimate because I'm still thinking. I'm thinking about them. I'm working on the plan, and before you know it, months have gone, years have gone, and you have done no acting, and all you've done is thinking. And usually it's not progressive thinking. It becomes just a repetitive cycle of thinking the same old things that you have not decided to act upon.
Tony Robbins says that, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly his exact words, but he says, the moment decision arrives, action is imperative.
Yes.
In other words, we all come to this place where we know the decision that needs to be made.
Yeah.
But he says action is imperative. In other words, take action the moment you know what to do.
Right.
Because the only way to bypass the mind is action.
Yeah.
Because your own mind,
Yeah.
he says, will prevent you from stepping into your future. It will keep you locked into a present moment, just looping the same old thought, knowing you've been knowing what to do, but you never took action.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know what that is, because you live life from a reactive posture rather than a proactive posture, and understanding the urgency of time, because everything in life is time sensitive.
Yeah.
Once you've deliberated the process, once you understand clearly the steps you have to make to do it, and then you move on it. You said something a couple of years ago, and you and I were talking. He's like, I can't just hold up, and you got to pull the gun, pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
And it's when you get that realization. If not, I'll be thinking about this 3-4 months from now.
Trigger.
I'd rather you pull the trigger, and we got to make some adjustments.
Correct.
And rather than just do nothing.
Nothing.
Well, we finna do this. We gonna do this. No, pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So you find that a lot of people struggle with this overthinking?
Oh, absolutely. They overthink usually because of the dominant deficiency in which they see themselves. They always see themselves as so deficient.
Yeah.
Why engage in it? It's not going to work out anyway. I don't have enough what it takes. I don't have the see-through power. I don't have the grit or the grind to really see things happen. So you generally talk yourself out of the things you should be talking yourself into to accomplish at this stage of life.
So now, what have you discovered or learned about overcoming this overthinking?
Usually what happens, and probably with most people, is that a strong sense of regret comes over you. When you finally decide to pull the trigger, now you're like, man, I could have did it 6 years ago.
Could have been.
What was actually stopping me? And you realize nothing.
Yeah.
My overthinking. Who's going to read this? Who's going to want this? Who's going to support this? Who's going to do this? When in actuality, all you need to do is just be in alignment with God and what you believe He's told you to do.
Come on now.
And you can do absolutely anything. It's going to astonish you what you're able to accomplish. So now I'm writing these books, and I'm like, I could have 30 of them by now.
Yeah, you're a prolific writer.
And you never realize who you are because you're overthinking.
Wow,
you're overthinking it.
And what you co-sign this idea that we typically overthink about who we used to be or what we perceived ourselves as having been, and not enough thought put into who we're going to be?
Absolutely. That is the perfect summary of that, because that's all you're thinking about. Nobody's going to see me for this, because most people will not let you live past what they know about you.
Come on now.
And once they've determined this is who you are, this is who you're always going to be, and if you're not careful, you will dispel that there's an audience for you in the world.
Yeah.
You will shun the notion that there's somebody who wants what you have. And once you come to that realization, you start realizing, I don't need this sect of people to like it. This sect does.
Correct. Everybody's not going to love it.
Everybody. And I'm good with that because I don't love everything. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can not like country music, but it ain't stopping Brad Paisley from selling 50 million records.
And watch this. I'm not crazy about country music either, but it ain't stopping it from being the #1 genre in the world.
Not at all. And that's what I mean. They're not going to stop me from being the #1 version of me I could possibly be.
Wow. What's another
overcoming, breaking up with self-doubt. Self-doubt. The vestiges of self-doubt can run a long time. You can camouflage it, perfume it up a little bit, but self-doubt is a stronghold. Even when you're functioning your gift, behind the scenes, there's still this grip of self-doubt. Most people don't understand that. To them, you look so poised and prepared, but not realizing in the back of your mind, you're like, was I good enough?
Feeling like an imposter.
Yes, feeling like an imposter.
Yeah.
Am I good enough? Can I do it again? The pressure of the repeat. Everybody applauded.
Repeat.
You're so good, you're so great. Now the pressure's on. Can I do it again next week? Because I got to show up next week, and they got to show up next week, and so you got to keep up this.
Well, you know what I've come to terms with? I'm going to give you the best version of me today.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to measure myself by who I was last week. Mm-hmm. That was a different set of circumstances, different metrics.
Yeah.
I'm going to always give you the best version of me today. Sometimes that's less or more. Mm-hmm. Right. But if I've given you the best version of me, I'm going home and go to sleep. Yeah. I'm good.
There was a time I would sit up worried about it. Man, I replay it over in my mind. What did I say? What didn't I say? What should I have said? What could I have added? What could I take it away? Doing these audits of your performance and of your gifting and what you do. And because you doubt yourself, because people's definition of you are the ones they imposed upon you were subpar, you were inadequate. You don't have what everybody else has. But then you start realizing I don't have to have what they have.
Come on, man.
You are, and this is not for camera. I've said this to him years, every year. You are the best teacher I know, have ever known, biblical teacher that I've ever known. I learned how to teach from him. So consequently, what did that do? That gave me the ability to have versatility in my styles and presentation. Mm-hmm. And I could go here and do this. Then I can go here at 12 o'clock and do it like this, because I understood the necessity of those dynamics to add value to what I was presenting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it that we get locked in on this idea of performative value? that I gotta perform to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't slide down the scale of people's value. Because when you're overthinking, it generally means that people have already convinced you that you're not enough.
Yeah.
So the thing that makes you feel like enough, you got to keep doing that.
Keep doing it.
You build this adrenaline rush from it. Because this is what I'm good at, and they know I'm good at this. If I'm good at nothing else, I'm good at this. So this is what I got to do consistently, and even at a higher level the next.
And then that voice on the inside is saying, you know, you just an imposter.
Yeah.
And you're going to fall flat on your face this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I relate to it. I really do relate to it.
It's the truth. God, it's the truth.
Because people are inviting me to come and to speak on stages and in situations that I'm not typically comfortable with. And the Spirit of God, the Spirit of the Lord had to really check me, man, and say, hey, you know, I made you no one trick pony.
Yeah.
If people calling you, it means that there's a value in you in this particular area.
Yeah.
So now I step into these areas, man, with crazy boldness.
Oh, and it shows. And I'm at that place now. I wasn't always, but I figure you called me. You watched me more than once or twice already.
You know what I
do.
do.
You know what you're getting, right? And so it's just a matter of reframing your thoughts.
Because, you know, I've talked myself out of many opportunities because of self-doubt.
Yes, I have to.
I have.
to.
And, you know, I had to break up with it.
Yeah. It's a bigger stage to fail on. If I fall on the smaller stage, I'm all right. But if I trip at my church while service is cool. If I go to this big platform, it's everywhere.
Listen, man. Now that's no lie.
Because you got certain liberties in your space and environment that you don't necessarily have on extended platforms.
And some of these stages are so big.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking literal now.
Yeah.
It's like you got to take 50 steps to get out there to the.
Oh man, what's that feeling of that walk when you got to get out of your chair and you just walking and it feels like everybody just looking right here at
and
you.
And that voice is in your head. You ain't supposed to be here. You can't do this.
This ain't gonna work here.
You know.
Yeah.
So what do you say to a person that's saying right now, oh, that's my struggle right there?
You got to reframe your thoughts. This is what I say to myself. This is what I taught myself. You got to, when you find yourself caught in these negative thought spirals, you got to consciously reframe your perspective. You got to constantly say, I'm supposed to be here. If God allowed it, God has already sanctioned this moment for me. I cannot wimp out in this moment. God's counting on you. He gave you this moment in this space and time so that you can make his name great and that he could expand your territory.
Well, you know, as we speak, I'm getting ready this week. As we're recording this, I'm going to Cry Out with Pastor Keon Henderson. And
that's huge.
And his wife, Shawnee Henderson. And that's a huge situation, man.
Deal.
I remember the time that I would have found a reason to not accept, because that voice, you know, people would not believe that. That's why it's good to be transparent. I would have found a reason to not accept that. Man, listen, I step into everything now. They got, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Because you gotta, it's like as you step into it, you become more secure in your true identity.
Well, you just revealed a relevant truth that I hope everybody gets. When you start managing the self-doubt, the demands become greater for you. You get to take advantage of greater demands in your life. Because as long as you're cowering under the vestiges of your past, you know, God's not going to give you that opportunity. But once you start managing that self-doubt, you're going to see God give you greater demand on your life.
So what do you say to the person whose self-doubt has been generated by negative voices, like from their family or their friendships or their churches or their circles?
You got to counter them. And what do I mean by that? God has a way of giving you surrogates. For every negative voices in your life, there's an equally matched positive voice. You had a negative speaking father, God will put a positively speaking male strong figure in your life that'll dominate and continually to chip away at that negative voice. So the key is always to combat it. No matter what the enemy is saying, you can never go to bed with him having the last word.
Combat it.
Combat it every single day of your life.
Wow. So what else do we have, Bishop?
We deal with breaking up with people pleasing.
Now just sit there and just work on that. I'm gonna put the camera on you, and I want you to just work on that. That's your camera right there.
So hear me very carefully. If you hear nothing else I say, you cannot please everybody. It might sound elementary, but it's vitally essential for your psychology. You cannot please everybody. The challenge with the people pleaser is that everybody gets pleased except the one who does the pleasing.
Wow.
Right? And so you are what do I need to do? Because again, your whole value most of the time is dependent upon your performance or your perceived value or what your contribution is to people, particularly when you've been neglected and abandoned and had certain traumas in your life, and you have this attachment style that's based on what you can do for people, and usually at the expense of neglecting you. Because you spend your whole life, what can I do for them? What can I do for them? So they'll keep me around. What can I do for them? So they'll include me. And consequently, you become a perpetual people pleaser. And you never find fulfillment of your own.
Wow. So what do you deal with in the book, in that chapter, rather?
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things you have to know is you are enough. You are enough at the moment, but you do not have permission not to evolve.
Say that again, Bishop.
You are enough in this moment, but you do not have permission not to evolve.
Wow.
Because sometimes we give people blanket, you're enough, and you keep saying you're enough for the next 5 years, but you haven't grown, haven't matured, haven't self-educated, hadn't purposely put yourself in circles to glean and gain wisdom. You are enough in this moment, but that does not give you permission not to evolve.
Not to evolve. Now, I know there are a lot of people that are curious about this book now.
Mm-hmm.
Where can they get it?
You can go to henrybolden.com right now. While I'm talking to you, you could be letting your fingers move. Go to henrybolden.com, hit the shop tab, and you can get it. You can get it in maybe 2 days, expedited shipping.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know they're going to hold you to that now.
Expedited shipping.
Yeah, my people going to hold you to that.
Yeah, it's coming.
They're going to tell you it's been 25 hours, 49 hours. I ain't got it yet.
It's coming. I promise you. It's going to be there. It'll be there.
What other chapters do you have in there?
We talk about breaking up with self-doubt. We talk about breaking up with trust issues. And then we talk about breaking up with negative self-talk.
Negative self-talk.
And the premise of that is there is nobody you have more conversations with than you. I don't talk to anybody more than I talk to me. Whether that's internal or whether that's external, whether I'm in where I'm verbalizing some thoughts or whether I'm meditating out loud, I talk to me more than anybody. You have the challenge of this negative self-talk. It's what I call silencing the voice of impossibility.
Whew, that's good.
You got to silence that voice of impossibility. If I had time, my whole life reflects that. You know what I mean? It's silencing the voice of impossibility, because the inner dialogue is going to be relentless. It's going to be filled with words that undermine your worth and your potential. And you have to have clarity of mind, soberness of mind, and keep saying, but I am everything he said I am.
You know, I was talking with one of our therapists at New Home Houston, and she was giving me this psychological paradigm called the cognitive triangle. And the cognitive triangle is thought produces feeling or emotion, and emotions or feelings produces behavior. And so a lot of times our behavior may very well be traced back to the self-talk, which produces the thoughts, which produces the feelings, which leads us into certain behaviors. And so if you want to correct the behavior, you got to go back and correct the thoughts.
Yes.
And when you shift the thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
she was saying, once you shift the thoughts, the feelings begin to soon follow.
Yeah.
And once the feelings or the emotions change, then
Yeah.
the behavior begins
Absolutely.
to shift. But everything goes back to being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
And I think a person can do a personal assessment on how well on their way they may be in terms of having their mind renewed,
Mm-hmm.
based on the thoughts you're constantly hearing in your head. You know,
Yeah.
like if I compare my present day thoughts
Yeah.
to the way I used to internally speak to myself from years ago,
Yeah.
it's worlds are different
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm more aligned.
Yeah. And I did too, because I was using repeated language. I found myself saying about me what they were saying about me. I found myself defining me by what their definition. But you have to get to a place where you break up with toxic rationale, is what I call it. The rationale that gives you legitimate, in your mind, justification for not being who you can be because of who you once were.
Ooh.
Okay, I get it. I can't be this because I did this.
Yeah.
I got a rap sheet here. I did this. I messed up so horrifically. But you got to break up with that toxic rationale, because most of us are victims of toxic transfer anyway.
Yeah.
Same way mama thought about it is the way I think about it. Same way daddy thought is the way I think about it. And so when you break up with all of those detrimental habits, you're going to see your life go to the level that you never imagined.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation
Yes.
today. And we're going to put the link in the description,
Okay.
so that people can hit the link to go
Yeah,
and buy the book
yeah,
or what have you. But is there anything else that you want to say before we shut it down? I've had you for a half hour now. Is there anything else you want to say before we shut it down today?
Well, I just want to encourage you to get this book. It's a very therapeutic book, and it's a very responsible book. And what I mean by that is, it's some work that you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
It's not just something you read, but you have to read it, you have to apply it, and then you're going to see very tangible results. There's some step-by-step actions in here that if you would do them, you're going to see a world of difference happen in your life.
And these are the principles that you've applied to your own life.
Absolutely.
So I want to encourage my community, all of my people, which many of you know Bishop Henry Bolden. I want you to make certain that you get this book, put it in your library, and make it a part of your reading in the very near future. Go and get the book now. I know that there are many of you who really need to break up with some things, and the other things that he's not even mentioned today.
Yeah.
But go and get the book, and let's support our own, but let's transform, let's evolve, and let's change. Thank you again for being with me today.
Thank you for this opportunity.
We here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.